From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Twin Cities sports scene. And Wally, October continues to be a month that gives us plenty of sports to delve into. But I think first and foremost, we have to talk about the Minnesota Twins, who finally did win a playoff game, and then another to advance to the ALDS, but they've run into a tough opponent in the World Series champion Houston Astros.
And when you're playing the Astros, you know you're going up against a team that has been to the ALCS the last 6 years, going on 7. And they're battle tested. They've got veterans, the guys like Verlander running at you, Jordan Alvarez, really up and down the lineup. Just a complete ball club. But to your point, they did win a game to snap the 18-game postseason losing streak, which dated all the way back to 2004. Then they did win a series, which dated all the way back to, 2002, I believe that was. That was when they beat the Moneyball A's back then.
Yep.
And so that's in the rearview mirror. And it's, now once you get past that, you have to set your goals higher then. It's not just about winning a game or a series. The idea of this thing is to win the World Series.
Absolutely. And we've seen a number of teams in recent MLB history that were lower seeds, like Washington,
Philadelphia,
like
last
St.
year.
Louis, like Philadelphia, get to the World Series, and in some cases, like the Nationals, win it. And, you want to face a team like Houston because eventually, if you're going to win anything, you're going to have to beat a team like that. But you're right. They know how to win. I feel like the past few days here in Minnesota, we've seen a clinic on what it's like to be an elite team. Michigan and Minnesota, college football. Michigan winningest program history of college football. Yeah. Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs didn't play their best game on Sunday against Minnesota, but they did enough to win.
Right.
And now the Houston Astros, I think, are schooling the Minnesota Twins on what it's like to keep winning in October. And let's not forget their skipper, Dusty Baker. He's been around forever and a day. And Jose Altuve, and they lose a lot of guys. They lose George Springer. They lose Carlos Correa. They lose key pieces. No, it doesn't. They just reload.
And Pena comes in last year and was superb in replacing Carlos Correa, and he made a big play in Game 3 against the Twins this year. So, they're just a club that knows how to win, and it wasn't that long ago where they didn't know how to win at all. They were calling them the Lastros or the Disastros. Yeah. They had all kinds of bad nicknames about roughly 10 years ago, but they have turned into a machine. It's hats off to a team that's able to knock off the Houston Astros. Speaking of hats, so you made a promise. And I had no idea you were actually going to come through on this.
Yeah, you doubted me.
And with good reason. You made a promise that if the Twins finally snap this long postseason losing streak and win a series, that you would buy one of those dumb-looking M hats that are now the Minnesota Twins.
The North Star.
With the little North Star. Yeah, the Miami Marlins hat with a North Star on it, basically. So you were going to buy that hat. And then on top of that, I told you, I said, look, if the Twins win a series, you buy that hat, and then the Gophers beat Michigan, I'd eat that hat.
Well,
we got 2 out of 3.
Yeah, there was no way Minnesota was beating Michigan and somehow winning that little brown jug. But yes, I am a promise keeper, and I waited until the very last second.
I know
right
you did.
After Game 3, but I went into Trendy Target Field, their majestic gift shop, and this is what I've got. Let's go. The bold North. How about that North Star?
You're going to wear that for the rest of the show.
Why not?
Oh, my goodness. That thing is just hideous.
I like it. You know what? I may grab a hoodie before they close the doors on Target Field.
With that stupid M on it?
Sure. Why not?
Get the TC. Can't you do anything traditional? You have to go down
There's
this
a TC on the back of this.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah. See?
Oh, my goodness, is that small? Okay.
Yeah. Well, you can't say that this has been bad luck for the organization. They snapped that long losing streak. Maybe this is all they had to do.
Maybe they just need to change their logo every year to have some success.
Next up is a green and gold look like the real North Stars.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Packers on me. I was going to say. No. Well, that's what the Wild should do. They should go to those colors.
They do. And, it's funny. You and I go to Wild games. Half the fans in the stands are wearing North Star colors. And that's not an exaggeration.
No, and you might as well. If you're the Minnesota Wild, look, there we go. If you're the Minnesota Wild and you're on top of the food chain over there, change over to the green and gold. Yeah. You might as well. Go to the North Stars colors. You couldn't have the name, but you certainly could take the colors.
Well, and I bet if you ran it by the Dallas Stars, I think a lot of that acrimony is water under the bridge.
Let's hope so.
The Dallas Stars might say you can have North Stars. I mean...
Yeah, well, the Twins have North Stars.
Yes.
They put it on their flipping hats. Well, good for you. I'm glad that you actually came through. Although, let it be known that he found a way to get a discount on this thing.
Yeah, and that's all we're going to say about that. But I am a promise keeper, and I did shop. I went to Kohl's, I went to Target, I went to Dick's Sporting Goods, and I wound up getting it in the heartbeat of Twins territory at Target Field.
All right.
Who would have thunk it?
I'll say this. If the Twins someday win the World Series, I'll wear that hat.
Wow.
But they've got to win the World Series. I'm not.
And I'll throw another caveat into that. If the Cleveland Guardians win the World Series, because they would be the Guardians, I'm going to buy you a Guardians cap you can wear on these airwaves.
Oh, boy.
That's pushing him.
Yeah,
then I'll wear it.
I like the C. I like the new crooked C, but I'm not a fan of the flying.
The winged baseball?
No, that's stupid. Some kindergartner drew it up. All right, we're going to talk some more Minnesota Twins. Joe Nathan, the last guy to save a Twins win in the postseason before they broke it this year.
10K takes your North Star ticket.
Ridiculous.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level, all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10,000 Takes rolls along. And a week ago, last Tuesday, the Minnesota Twins snapped that 18-game postseason losing streak, right? Well, the last guy to save a game for the Minnesota Twins before they went on that long 18-game losing streak in the playoffs was Joe Nathan. And lo and behold, he is our guest here today. Joe, welcome to the show. Let's reflect on that first before we get into talking about the Astros. The Twins finally get out of that 18-game misery that went on for, almost 20 years. And last time we had you on the show, you said, well, you and your teammates should probably take some of that more blame than the current group. But they had to get that out of the way first, and it was good to see him take a series. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for them, they had to listen to it and kind of take the questions and all that, and kind of ride that whole kind of era where it just wasn't good for us in the postseason, but it had nothing to do with them. But to me, it was kind of cool to watch them take it on and kind of use that as motivation. I think going into that series, it seemed to me like they used that as much as anything to go out and win that series. You listen to Lopez go out there and just say, listen, I want to take this on. I want this responsibility. and to watch him go out and do what he did and take on that responsibility to take care of that losing streak was really cool to watch. For me especially, it was just really cool. For us, I mean, like I said, we went against some really tough competition. We went against probably one of the best Yankee era teams to ever play for the Yankees. And if you really think about that and break that down through what the Yankees have done in their history, for us to play and have to go against them in the playoffs against probably one of their best teams postseason wise ever, I don't want to give us an excuse by any means, but God dang, we had a tough team to go against most of the time. But to watch this team go out and they honestly don't have any reason to have any part of that streak, and they could literally go, listen, that's not what we are. But they seem to take that on as like, listen, we're going to take this personal. And we are going to take on that streak and try to end this thing and use it as motivation. It was really cool to watch them end that thing and watch the crowd, how much they were into it, how much the team was into it, how much Rocco was into it, how much the coaching staff got into it. I mean, it was really cool to watch them kind of get that done and get that monkey off their back and move forward from there.
So, Joe, they get the coveted streak-busting win. Then they actually win a series, and then they run into Houston, the defending World Series champs, perennial participants in the ALCS. You talked about the New York Yankees, and you guys did run into the evil empire, as we jokingly call them. Houston might be this era's evil empire. This team, from the manager on down, they have all the pieces, and they know how to win, don't they?
1,000%. I mean, this team has been built on going into the postseason, going deep in the postseason, and their goal always, 1,000%, is to win the World Series. And if they come up short, it's a disappointment.
All right. As you look at the Twins as they have played and the games that they have won in the postseason, what differences do you see from the regular season? What is making them tick that maybe wasn't quite in line in the regular season?
Carlos Correa.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a huge piece of this thing. I mean, you can see him and how different he is in the regular season, and then all of a sudden postseason comes, and the confidence that comes from him, that I don't know, not only in his play, but I think what he does makes everybody else around him kind of take a breath and become better than they are.
Joe, we just have a few seconds left, but I'm curious. I'm an LA Dodger fan. How stunned were you?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I know you're a Giant guy back in the day. But Clayton Kershaw, to see the way the D-backs battered him in game one of that NLDS, that's stunning, at least for me. What did you think?
I mean, there's so many ways to look at this thing. I mean, I'm never going to sit there and go, oh, well, it's because Clayton Kershaw's on the back end of his career and all that. I mean, listen, it's baseball. I mean, yes, granted, it's a playoff game, but at the same time, I mean, anything could happen at any time. Clayton Kershaw is Clayton Kershaw. He could come out his next game and throw 7 shutout, and everyone goes, Clayton's back. So for me, it's just one of those things where he had a bad start at the wrong time. And he's facing a team that is super hungry and super good. I mean, their young guys are so good. So I think everyone got surprised by it because those guys are so young and they haven't become that household name. But these guys are going to be household names in the next year or two, and everybody's going to know these guys, and it won't be as surprising. But at the same time, Clayton just had a bad game. I mean, I don't want to sit there and go, I hope he gets another opportunity. But, I guarantee you if he gets another chance, he's not going to be that bad again. He's going to be the old Clayton, and I think he just had a bad start at the wrong time. I don't know if he's going to get that opportunity again, but at the same time, this is just one of those. You got to just tip your hats to the Diamondbacks and know how good of a young team that is, and here they come. Let's see where they end up going.
All right, I'm going to ask you one last question to rest Twins fans' minds about the future of this club. Do you think that they are built to continue to contend?
How can they not be? I mean, they are. I feel like they have enough youth in there and enough guys that have come up through the system that are ready to compete and ready to keep rolling. And I think, I'm not going to speak for people that are around that have been there, but I think the excitement to stay there, I think the excitement for guys that have been around there, they want to stick around there and they want to be part of this excitement that has come. And gosh dang, that excitement, that energy that the crowd brought in that first series. That was unbelievable. Watching that game on TV, I texted Dustin Morrison and said, man, this energy is unbelievable for me. To hear it on the indoors of the Metrodome, but to hear it outside in Target Field was just unbelievable to hear that energy. So I think the excitement for the young guys that are coming up and contributing to them and the veterans that want to be a part of this club, I think they got some things to go look forward to in the future for sure.
All right. Good stuff,
Thanks,
Joe.
Joe.
Appreciate you taking some time with us, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
All right.
See ya.
He is Joe Nathan, perhaps the greatest reliever in Minnesota Twins history, in the Twins Hall of Fame, right here on 10,000 Takes. Stay with us.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level, all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
Have a great time out at Fondue.
10,000 Takes, and we couldn't go through the whole show without talking about the purple, even though you continue to don that ridiculous hat.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't get it. Anyway, so your Vikings, losers to Kansas City, as you pointed out earlier in the show, and now head into Chicago to take on the Bears, a Bears team that won a game. Now, hopefully, they don't have to have another icon die for them to win another game.
Oh, boy.
They dropped 14 in a row before they came up with a win last week. But this is, if the Vikings are going to make anything out of this season, they have reached now for the first time an absolute must win. They cannot lose to the Chicago Bears, or the season is over for all intents and purposes. You cannot be 1-5 with a loss to the Bears in your repertoire to say that you are a legitimate playoff contender.
No, because they have been the monsters of the Midway until that win against Washington. I will say this, they coughed up a huge lead, the Bears did, against Denver 2 weeks ago, and they very could have easily won that game. Right. So they've scored, I believe, 68 points in their last 2, including 40 in D.C. against the Commanders.
So they're scoring.
They are scoring.
Right.
Justin Fields, I think, is getting more comfortable. He talked about being too programmed and too robotic with the coaches, having too much control over what he does. I think they're letting him go a bit. That's his game. And he's a young guy. I still think Justin Fields can have success. But you're right. They have to beat the Chicago Bears. And you and I sat by Larry Fitzgerald at the Twins games, and he was telling me, he was making a point. Don't count the Vikings out yet because they have all their NFC North games in play. So this is number 1 of 6. Now, they pretty much have to run the table or go 5-1, but he thinks if they do that, they can make a run. I believe Detroit is starting to separate from the rest of the pack,
no doubt.
And that would include the Green Bay Packers. The Lions look good, but it's still very early.
Yeah, well, speaking
that
of
famous quote, it's early.
It's early. Well, speaking of the pack, they are just a game ahead of the Vikings heading into this weekend. They have their bye week coming up. My son Tony sent a photo of, you know what recycle bins look like? They're like the yellow tops and then the green bottom. There was a whole row of them out in the street. He sent a photo of this. He said, "This is the 2023 Green Bay Packers."
They're recycled.
Recycled garbage.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not too thrilled over there in Bucky Badgerland with your Green Bay Packers. They have scuffled, and Jordan Love is he's on a learning curve right now. As good as he has been from time to time through these first 5 games, it's a learning curve. He's not going to just jump in and be Aaron Rodgers right away.
No, and he threw 3 interceptions in the Monday night loss to the Las Vegas Raiders, that Super Bowl II rematch. And
that's exactly what I was thinking of, too.
I know you were. Bart Starr, way back in the day. But yeah, I don't think Green Bay is a dominant team. I certainly know that Minnesota and Chicago are not dominant teams. It remains to be seen just how good Detroit is. The Lions play Tampa Bay, a surprise team so far at 3-1 with your guy Baker Mayfield behind the wheel at quarterback. Yeah. I think if Detroit wins that one, that'll be another, signature win, if you will. But the Lions do look good, and their defense is playing better than some people thought. Give kudos to Jared Goff, the tight end Sam Laporta, who replaced T.J. Hawkinson, who's also out of Iowa, tight end and they have David Montgomery and, Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have a lot of weapons.
And now your Vikings are without Justin Jefferson for, it looks like, about 4 weeks or so with that hammy. Okay, before we break out of this segment, we've got about 1 minute left in this segment, and that's all I'm willing to give your Gophers. I mean, my goodness, they just got, as you know, you were there, trampled by Michigan. They are not, at this juncture, part of the top even half of this conference. And when you add the 4 coming in from the West Coast, they are a bottom 5 team.
Yeah, that quartet coming from the West, those power programs are going to make it even more difficult for Minnesota. The only Gopher fans who enjoyed that Michigan game are the same people who enjoy 7-car pileups on I-35W. I mean, that was just a
train wreck.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and the Gophers were taken home in a body bag.
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan's at this level, Minnesota's at this level. Little Brown Jug, once again, back to Ann Arbor. It's a rumor in Minneapolis.
It certainly is. It doesn't stay here very long. He just sits on the Michigan sideline and goes back to Ann Arbor. They haven't won here. By the way, Minnesota has not beat Michigan in Minneapolis since 1977. Wow. Yuck. Takes of the day coming up next. Stay with us.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10K takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. We'll get the takes of the day here shortly, find out what your demeanor is. But we should mention the puck drops in St. Paul on Thursday. Minnesota Wild begin their season against the defending Eastern Conference champion Florida Panthers. How about that?
Yeah, well, are you ready for some hockey?
It's a little early for my taste. I'm still in baseball mode and clearly football, but we'll get ready. I know after Florida, they go play Toronto and Montreal, and a week from Thursday, they host my LA Kings, so that might be my debut.
Your LA Kings. Okay. I've never been excited about the length of either the NHL or the NBA season, and I really don't like that the NBA has moved it closer and closer to the start of the NHL season. If you remember, the NBA didn't start till like Halloween. That was basically... It was
about a month gap.
There was at least 3 weeks, but now they're right on
top. And their
top.
Playoffs now really run parallel. Even the finals.
It's silly. It really is. But and speaking of which, your Timberwolves have already been playing some overseas basketball.
Abu Dhabi in Dubai.
They went to Dubai and played a couple of games, right?
I tried to make that trip, but the folks who run 10K Takes said, no, I don't think we can afford to send over there.
We could not afford to send you overseas.
Wanted to go.
Probably a little too close to the action over there anyway at that spot. So Timberwolves underway. One other Timberwolves note I wanted to throw out at you. So obviously we know that Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry currently hold a portion of stock in the Minnesota Timberwolves that Glenn Taylor still owns the majority stock in. But that's moving closer and closer to them becoming majority owners. I have learned that when they do become either principal owners or they get a vast majority of the ownership, and this is no secret, that they want to build a new arena. Target Center, even with its whatever they put 150 million into that building not that long ago. I like Target Center as it is, but I have this funny feeling that they're going to want to build a new building. And listen to this. It sounds like they're looking at property near Mall of America. How about that?
Yeah, interesting. Because when you think of the T-Wolves, I think of a downtown arena. That's the way it's been their entire history. Even when they were at the Metrodome, they were playing in downtown Minneapolis.
They're going to go where the North Stars used to be.
The old Met Center site, and certainly the foot traffic at the Mall of America. I mean, you can't argue with that. It's close to MSP. It might be good for the Timberwolves. The question is, can they get the funding for this new venue? Or will Mark Lowry and A-Rod pony up out of their own pockets like Steve Ballmer's doing in Inglewood with the $2 billion Intuit Arena for the LA Clippers?
Don't count on it.
I'm not.
All right. We better get takes of the day.
Yeah. All right, let's find out what your mood is. Sarcastic Sam, Demanding Diva, Happy Camper, what is it?
Well, football season is closing quickly if you're a Minnesota fan. Your Gophers, as we discussed earlier, 3-3 with a loss to that powerhouse Northwestern, and of course they got trampled by Michigan. And your Vikings, just 1-4. Not many 1-4 football teams making it to the NFL playoffs these days. And without Justin Jefferson, I'd say they probably, if you're a Minnesota football fan, you might want to refocus your attention because the season will probably be over by Halloween.
Oh, boy.
And it's time to start thinking about, as we just discussed, hockey and basketball, the Wild and the Wolves.
All right, let's see what that mood meter says in the needle land smack dab in the middle. That's about what I figured. Sarcastic Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, my take of the day, I'm just going to give a shout out to Twins territory. All the fans who wear the M logo with the North Star and the TC and all that. Because I've been to every one of these playoff games at home at trendy Target Field. You have too. Toronto, Houston. And, when the Twins were rolling and when they were getting smacked around, it didn't matter. The fans were supportive. They were energetic. The vibe was cool. Walking into downtown Minneapolis for playoff games, you could just sense it had meaning. And let's hope someday the Minnesota Twins can get back to the World Series and really ramp up the stakes for the fan
That'd be
base.
fun.
On that note, we got to go. Let's FedEx out those thank yous. One to David Weld, Rocky, Joe Nathan, for Wally. I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your Twins ticket